Good evening and welcome to the Reading School District question and answer session for opening the 2021-22 school year. I have a lot of people sitting in the room here with me today, but I have all the site principals that are here and they'll be happy to answer your questions when they're back on campus tomorrow and for the weeks coming up to the start of the year. I also have the directors of nutrition and special ed, curriculum, student services, and our after-school program also sitting here if we have any questions there. Let me start by acknowledging the amazing progress that we made this last year in terms of learning. You know, last year we added certificated tutors on every campus who taught individual students content that they were struggling with. We also had support staff helping students complete work. Our students on average grew 10% in K-3 reading over previous years, and our 4-H students grew 20% in reading and math above previous years. So I want to say congratulations to the students for working hard and for our staff for working alongside them. This year, we'll be offering some of those same tutoring and work completion services to our students all year long. We believe and know that all of our students can learn these topics, and we want to support them to do that. You know, we also added full-time counselors on each campus last year, and we believe in this level of support for our students this year and in future years as well. Parents, thanks for being our partners again this year as we prepare. Our vision, as is at every year, we want to build an environment that encourages students to be eager learners and to achieve success. This is what we train for and what we really care deeply about. That is why we have a wide variety of programs all across our district. The full Spanish biliteracy program at Sycamore, the computer science immersion program at 4 of our schools, a STEAM program at Cypress School. We're building a full music student study center at our premier music program, Sequoia. You know, Sequoia is adding a piano lab class, the jazz band is back, a music video production course is starting this year. We have full coding courses. We have a full VEX robotics course starting this year. And we have lots of other opportunities for our students to learn and explore those topics that will enhance their futures. This year, as we are encouraging our teachers to teach outside, as well as on field trips in our campuses, so that we can encourage our students to go out of the classroom and enjoy exploring with excursions for learning as well. Tonight, we will be answering questions in terms of the processes that will allow us to come back to school to in-person and thank you, Robert, or within our independent study homeschool program. Many of you are happy that we are keeping some of those same protocols we have in place from last year, and I know that some of you would like to see less than the required components. Let me start by sharing with you our protocols that are mandated for this coming school year and tell you what it allows us to do as we start back to our schools because of these mandates. The first question on everybody's mind is about masks. Masks are mandated by the state for indoor settings. Are you ready? Okay, sorry, having a little technical difficulties here, so I apologize. Masks are mandated by the state for indoor settings, which includes buses. The state has said that they will revisit this mandate in October and make any adjustments if needed by November. Students do not have to wear a mask outside, during PE, or while they are eating. They need to wear them when they are arriving and exiting. Again, we are encouraging our teachers to, if possible, teach outside when possible, or use learning field trips this year as much as they practically can. Masking does allow us to have scheduled parent volunteers within classrooms that utilize them. We can bring back our valued mentoring programs within our schools and other in-school and after-school programs so that we can have kids explore and learn more. I hope that we can keep the focus on learning for our students while keeping everyone as safe as we possibly can. If you choose, we are offering an independent study program at College Prep Academy, which allows you to support your child at home within the direction and support of a credentialed teacher. The next topic I'd like to cover is quarantining. What we know right now is that it is limited to those individuals who have tested positive with COVID. Because of masking, we only have to fully quarantine the person who is positive as long as the others are asymptomatic. Next, start times. We are asking parents to drop off their children 20 minutes before school starts, and that way they can go directly to the cafeteria to eat breakfast, or if they arrive within 15 minutes before school starts, they can go directly to their classroom. Younger children can be walked to their classroom for the first few days along with their parents if their parents are masked. Ask your child's school about this if you are unclear. We have been working hard to hire many more adults on our campuses for the younger children this year to support our students even more. Please, I ask you, if you're interested in helping our students and families, apply for those positions. Now I'm going to move on to some of the other questions that we've received, and we'll move forward from there. First question, are there going to be distance learning options or other alternative accommodations for children who are considered high risk but too young to receive the vaccine? Yes, so we have an independent study program called College Prep Academy, and I encourage you to apply there if that is of your interest. Next question, does this mean parents can come on campus this year? Again, I encourage you, if you're interested, to see if your child's teacher will be able to have parent volunteers. That teacher will build a schedule and you can sign yourself up for that schedule, and that will allow you to volunteer in your child's campus. Next question, are you aware that it is difficult for parents to drop off their child 20 minutes before school starts and when they have to go to work at 8 a.m.? We are. We totally understand the inconvenience that this offers. I would like to point out that our schools have been starting at 8:30 for some time now, and the state mandated start time for middle school and high schools actually changes next year in 22-23. All of them have to start at 8:30, and so that will be an adjustment for us as that period gets closer. We know that having kids on campus for breakfast is important, and that's why we're having you come at 20 minutes before. But it's difficult to have supervision on campuses when your child has just dropped off, so we encourage you to come at that 20-minute mark. Next question, when parents volunteer in the classrooms or check on their child's learning in class, when the teacher sets up the schedule and invites you to sign up for those volunteer spots, that's when you can start volunteering in the classroom. As far as checking on your child's learning progress, you can do that at any time. Email your teacher, call the school. You can always check on your child's learning progress. If parents send their children to school without masks, what steps is the school going to take? Well, we're going to have to exit them from the program and ask you to help them with the masking. We'll definitely work with parents to try to get them to figure out how that we can get them and their children to comply. It is a mandate from the state. We do have an independent study program that we are offering, and we will ask that you take your children there if that's what you need to do. But again, we will be encouraging our teachers to look for opportunities for them to take their children outside to teach or on field trips and other opportunities. If a child is vaccinated, why do they need to wear a mask? Again, it's a mandate from the state. And my understanding, I'm not a health official. I didn't train to be a health official. I trained to teach kids to learn. And the health officials tell us that masking is one way to make sure that we're not transmitting the disease from one to another. That's all the questions that we have so far. And there are some more coming, but again, we'll stay here for an hour. We have until 6 o'clock planned, or until we stop getting questions based on that.
One question that came was, what's the new principal for Manzanita?
Oh, a question about the new principal of Manzanita. Our new principal of Manzanita is Denise Humphrey. Sorry, you put me on the spot, so I lost it. But Denise Humphrey is our new principal of Manzanita. Denise, why don't you come up here so they can, and I'm going to put her on the spot right now so she can come up. You can just see her. You don't have to say any words, Denise, but at least they can see your face. And then when you see her, you see this beautiful lady on campus, you can say hi to her because she's the new principal of Manzanita. Thanks for coming up. Sorry for putting you on the spot. I told them I wouldn't be putting them on the spot, and then I put her on the spot. So, next question is, will there be any Christmas programs or performances? It is our hope that we will be able to hold all those programs and performances with the help of the health department and making sure that we can keep everybody safe. When will the new principal? Okay, we did that one. So all guests on the school grounds will be required to wear a mask regardless of vaccination status. That is the current mandate by the state, that every adult and child will be masked up when they're indoors or around children. Why are you asking for children to be dropped off so early? Are they going directly to class or the playground? Yes, as I said earlier, 20 minutes before will allow them to go in the cafeteria and get breakfast in the morning. But if you're 15 minutes or before the start of school, then they just go directly to class. Why does elementary school start at 7:40? It's been our traditional starting time at 7:45. We relook at that every year, and normally we get more parents asking for the earlier start time, not asking for a later start time. Be my best answer. Will masks be provided at school for students who don't have a mask? Yeah, at every entry point, we always have masks available for students that don't have them. I encourage you to have a mask that your child is comfortable with, but we will have masks available. If there's an outbreak in a classroom, what is the protocol? Again, the protocol currently, we haven't had, all of last year we didn't really have an outbreak at all. We had some students and some staffs that came down with COVID, but we didn't have an outbreak because of their illness. So an outbreak is defined by 3 or more members of that classroom getting transmitted the disease. We didn't have that happen all of last year. But we would quarantine, I'm sure, if we had an outbreak. We haven't had that happen in a year, so I don't perceive that it would. But we'll see. Why do students at IGO sit at shared tables as individual desks? Is spacing a concern? This year, based on the science, they're telling us that the distancing requirement isn't needed because masks can sufficiently take care of the reasons they were doing both from last year. So there's no reason to do the distancing. Will students be able to play wind brass band instruments? At this point, we are planning on having full band this year. I will tell you that the full music criteria hasn't come out from the state, but it looks as if we will be able to have full band and full wind and brass instruments. We want to have that happen. Are there going to be any restrictions on special ed students receiving their general ed time? Will they continue to transition from SDC to general ed rooms each day? I'm going to let our director of special ed talk about that. I would say that we are planning on doing full inclusion, the transition of inclusion with our special ed and SDC students, but I'll let Kim Bryant come up and address that if she would.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Bryant, the Special Ed Director, and yes, we are going to work very hard as long as students are wearing their mask and transitioning from class to class. We're going to work with groups and with their instructional aides and mainstreaming as much as possible per their IEPs. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Any chance school gets canceled again? At this point, I don't foresee that happening. It's definitely a possibility. We got the pandemic question up there if we had lots of transmissions. But again, based on last year's experience, I don't think we'll have to cancel school or close school. What is the smoke policy for kids to remain indoors during poor air quality times and days? What is the threshold in the air quality index? Yeah, we have a chart that was developed back during the years when we had the car fire. We'll still be using that chart. It's a range and a level. I encourage you to talk with your school site principal, but anywhere from 150 index and above, and that's difficult for me to say because it depends on which index you're looking at, how you're formatting that index to make sure that you're getting the right number for the particulates in the air. But we do have direction from the health department from years ago, and we'll still be using that. I know that we're back talking about air quality because we can see as today was probably the worst air quality we've had in a little while. I did look at the air quality today because I walked outside and went, wow, this doesn't look good. Looked like we had cloud cover, but the particulate number in the air today was still around 50, which was still pretty low. So, but we will again look at that for air quality, of course. Will the kids get Chromebooks again to increase in case of quarantine? We have one-to-one Chromebooks across our district, so all students have Chromebooks, and if students need to quarantine, they will of course get a Chromebook checked out or use their individual Chromebook. Yes, we have Chromebooks for every student. How do we find out more information about Independent Study Program? I encourage you to go to College Prep Academy's website. You can go to readingschools.net, and in there under the school section you'll see College Prep Academy, and you can find out more about that program there. Can independent study students transition back to distance learning if state mandates a distance learning option? We don't have a distance learning option. The state has already said that that's not going to be an option. I will tell you that independent study now has a daily instructional component to it that is offered to K-3 students, and a daily contact component to it that is offered for families that want to take advantage of that. Again, it's a time for the teacher and the students to connect and make sure that they're doing well in their independent study program. So there isn't currently a distance learning mandate from the state or offering the state, and my understanding is there won't be. Independent study will be the offer. So again, I want to encourage you to know that we do take learning in our district very seriously and try really, really hard to make sure that kids are learning at all levels. Last year we saw great gains. I talked about that at the beginning. And those gains, I think, were because of the hard work and dedication of the people that we have in our district. They care about what they do. It was a rough year in the sense, and I know that as parents, you know that, in the sense that you had to deal with kids coming and going and in quarantines and at some of our campuses. But the dedicated people that worked at that campus made sure that your children learned. And so we're continuing all of those practices and adding new practices this year so that we can make sure we increase that even more. New question, are there still specific drop-off gates and pickup gates at Manzanita? Specifically, I would have you call the school. I know the school office opened today, and the school principal that you just met on camera is there, and I would call them and find out about that. My understanding is they're still going to have drop-off locations just so they can make easier entries for students and families. I am positive there is no way I'll be able to sufficiently administer independent study. But in person is a legitimate safety risk for my concern. Again, I would encourage you to call, and we can talk through where your child is going to school and see how we can help you. Have any of the schools performed wildfire evacuation drills, not just going on to track and field, actually leaving school to specified areas? We have a protocol for full evacuation to an alternative site, and all of our campuses go through their safety drills with their staff every year. We don't necessarily do full evacuations off-site with our students as a drill, but it's the same for students except for entering a bus to move off location. So we do drills for safety monthly. Again, if you have specific questions for your campus, I encourage you to call and talk to the principal about how your school will be performing the protocols that you're concerned to know more information about. Again, all of the things that we've been focused on this summer has been making sure that we're following the protocols for safety, because what we want is students to be in school every day. We can't teach them if they're not there. And so we want them to be safe and healthy. We want them to be excited about learning. We want them to get the right instruction at the right time. And so we're putting a lot of people on campuses. We're putting a lot of processes on campuses. And I know that I tell the people that I work with all the time that, you know, my wife and I had 3 boys that we raised. They're all in their 30s, but and every day we dropped our children off at their school, their public school, and we trusted them. We trusted them to take care of our kids and teach them every day and keep them safe. And that's how we perform our job. That's our focus. Our focus is making sure that we make the right choices as if they are our children. And so that's what we're trying to do every day. I haven't heard of any, the question is, other school districts are allowing the parents to choose whether or not to mask children. Any chance we can leave it up to parents? Again, the mandate comes from the state, and I hadn't heard, there's no local schools that are leaving it up to parents. Again, we are a public agency that follow public rules, and so we follow the mandate. Okay.
The one that was asking about independent study students transitioning back to distance learning if the state mandates a distance learning option.
There won't be a distance learning. So the question that was asked is about transitioning back to distance learning. We have a transition policy from independent study back to 5-day-a-week school, in-person school, but distance learning no longer exists. There is no distance learning program. The state does not allow us to have a distance learning. We have independent study and we have in-person. Okay. Again, I don't know how to, that question is really just about a specific district. I think they're misinterpreting the mandate, and I think that we are mandated as a public school to follow public directions. Every school, the question is, will we be getting a supply list or any information on meeting our child's new teacher before school starts? Every school will publish that in their normal location. Again, I would encourage you to call the school. That's usually where those get published. I assuming that they'll publish them as normal supply lists or information about their child's teacher. Usually the Friday before. But I would call the school. Sorry about that. We're just waiting for a couple to come around. Yeah, the question is, are face shields acceptable in place of masks? Absolutely. Face shields are okay, and what the health department asks is that there's a skirt on the bottom of it because it helps keep the droplets from coming out from underneath the face shield. So yeah, face shields are great. We have a lot of teachers that use face shields with the skirt underneath. Works very good. Are staff required to be vaccinated? Nope, that's a personal decision, and we don't collect health information on our staff. I will say though that everybody has to make that decision, but I'm a person that got vaccinated, and I was vaccinated when I was a child as well. So, will the students need masks for the whole school year? I can't answer that question. I don't know if it'll change. Again, in my opening statement, I know that the health department has said that they will revisit their current protocols in October and make any adjustments that they need by November. So I don't know if they will or won't. What I can say is that the current numbers in our county are higher than they were a year ago this time. So my hope is that the numbers will retreat and we will be able to get, either way, we're gonna make school as normal as possible for your children. That's our goal. Sports, it's our, what is happening with sports is the question. Currently, we intend to have sports all year. The sports directives haven't come out yet, but I fully believe that we will be able to have fall, winter, and spring sports. So we are intending to do that. We are moving forward like we're gonna have those sports, and so we want to have sports in full and wanna have them, so. But we haven't got those directives yet. Again, I wanna emphasize that it's our intention to teach your children at the highest level and make schooling as normal as possible. I visited all the campuses last year, and students were laughing and joking and learning, and our learning data looked really good from last year. And I really do think that we make a difference, and we make sure that that your child is learning and that we care for them. If a program such as robotics is not available at your child's schools, are they able to join the program at another school? They can look for an interdistrict transfer to that school, but they can't go to the program at that school. So almost all of our schools have, I can only think of one program that doesn't have robotics at it. But certainly it's possible to add that into an after-school club. And I'm putting my after-school director on the spot right there, but some of our programs are after-school clubs robotics, but almost all of our schools do have robotics. Will after-school care be available? Yes, I can say yes. I'm gonna let my after-school director talk about that. I know there are some difficulties that we're having with the after-school program, but I'll let him address that. But yes, it's our intention to have after-school program as normal, but I'll let Nick Lott come up.
Hi, I'm Nick Lawton, after-school coordinator for the district, and yes, after-school is available at all of our school sites. However, we do have waiting lists going at most of the sites. That is really, to be straightforward with everyone, it's due to staffing. We don't have many people applying for positions right now, and we have openings at all of our sites. So what I encourage folks to do is, if you know anyone who's looking for an afternoon job from 1:30 to 6, in between those hours, come to the Reading School District site, linked through EdJoin, and apply for our after-school positions. We'd like to get those positions filled and have our programs running at full capacity. We're not running at a lower capacity due to social distancing or anything like that. It's simply due to staffing at this point. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. I want to address another question about parents on campus. Will parents be allowed on campus? Again, I want to emphasize that for the first few days, the first week, work that out with your site principal, but younger parents, parents of younger children can walk their students to class, but and parent volunteers that are registered with a classroom and a teacher. So we still are limiting parent visitors. You can visit the office, but unless you're, if and when we're not allowing parents to walk their children to class because the kids are okay with walking themselves, or we have support to walk them to class, or you're not part of a parent volunteer program, then we would again ask you to go to the office. So. Regarding sports, is parent attendance possible? Yeah, oh yeah, last year, even when we started sports in the spring, we allowed parents to come. We want parents to come watch their children, of course. Part of the joy of being a child and playing a sport is having your parent there, so we definitely want parents to watch their children play, so that's our intention. We will keep that. Okay, more questions coming. Again, I encourage you, if you have site-specific questions, please talk to your principal. Please call the school. The emails are online. You can definitely email them. It might be a little bit easier for you than calling to get your specific question answered at your campus. Again, we are intending to have school pretty normal as we can have it, with the protocols that are currently in place. Will there be cohorted groups? Again, this is not a protocol that the health department has told us that we have to hang on to from last year. So classrooms are kind of cohorted groups in of themselves, so our students will still be in classes, but we don't have, they aren't severely cohorted as far as recess goes and eating lunch and that sort of thing, if that's what you're asking, after school care. We don't have to hold on to those cohorts as tightly as we did last year. If the parents are vaccinated, can we volunteer randomly in classes? I'm sorry, what we're gonna have to have is a scheduled parent volunteer program, and I know our teachers want parent volunteers, so I would just volunteer in your child's classroom. Thank you so much for the questions. It really does help everybody get more clear on what we want to do and how we want to help your child. And we are truly looking forward to seeing kids on campus. You have no idea how much the educators that I work with love kids. And so the anticipation of August 18th is always in the air this time of year. Many of our campuses have teachers on campus already preparing their rooms. The custodians are finishing up their final cleanings and starting to panic a little bit because they're not going to make it. All of the supplies are coming into the campus, and we're getting registrations from parents that are moving in the area. We welcome all of you, and we really do want to love to have more information about your needs and help you out. Parent clubs, events and activities. I think we can still have some of those parent club events and activities. What I can say is I haven't specifically thought about that, but I think that because the protocols for group gatherings are out for our county, we can use those as our protocols for parent club events and activities, especially if they're outside, jogathons, stuff like that. It doesn't seem like we can't hold those activities. I think you have those discussions with your site principal, and we come up with ways to have them. We want to have those things. We want to have fun with kids, and so that's why we're opening it up for field trips this year and saying let's get kids out, looking in their environment and learning from their environment, because we also we want learning to be about with joy. So. Specifically, is there going to be 4th and 5th grade basketball? I can't even speak to that. I can say that I know that the leagues are already having conversations. I don't know if basketball's having conversation, because that's usually a winter league. That's a Rich? It's usually a winter league conversation, yeah. So I don't think they're specifically talking about 4 or 5 grade basketball, but I know they're talking about cross country and soccer and flag football. Volleyball. I'm just throwing ideas out there at this point because I'm not involved in those conversations, but I know that the leagues have been meeting and setting schedules. So, but basketball is usually in the winter. Here's to hoping. We want them to. As a person that loves music and loves sports, played instruments in schools, played all the sports in schools, I want our kids to experience those things too, because I think they added value to my life, and I want them to definitely add value to their lives as well. We still have some coming, or? Okay, well, we'll hang on for a little bit longer to make sure that we're getting everybody's questions answered. Again, I want to encourage you to call your school if you have specific school questions. I know that all of the information hasn't come out for every school because some of the offices just opened today. So they'll get that information out there to you and make sure that you have everything that you need so that you can get your child to school, and so that we can help them learn. Again, it's our intention to have school as normal as possible. We do have some protocols to follow, but they are limited, less so this year than they were last year, and so that's good news. And I think that's just because of them following the science and finding out that we don't have to do all of the things that we were doing last year. We have to do the ones that are the most important things. And then everybody can be safe, we can stay in class, we can stay in school, we can have really dynamic learning going on, and offer all of these specialized programs and make sure that your kids are excited about coming to school every day. And so, we got some more coming, or no? Okay, let's hang on for another minute, and then if not, then maybe we answered all the questions. But this isn't your one shot. My email's on the web, so you can always email me. I know that I received a lot of emails from parents the last few weeks asking questions, and I'm hoping that I can answer them here tonight. But you can always email me. I'm open to trying to help you understand where we're at and what we care about. Will graduation be open to the public this year? Graduation, wow. So it's my intention to have graduation open to the public. Boy, I hope so. We nearly had it open to the public last year. We had in-person graduation last year, so it's our intention to have in-person graduation again this year, and we'll hopefully our numbers in the county will be way down, and we'll able to have it open to everybody. That's my hope too. Is that the next question? Is the math being taught in our district the Common Core method? I can answer that. The state of California has California Common Core state standards in math and language arts. Those were adopted how many years ago? At least 8 years ago, I would say, 7 or 8 years ago. Again, we teach kids, we don't teach content. And the standards have been around since before the year 2000. The standards haven't really changed much. There isn't a Common Core method as much as there is standards. And so we teach students, and we try to make sure that they understand the content that we want them to know and understand so that they can be successful in their lives. And so what I would say is help us with some of the math content standards that you don't like, and we'll help you understand, why it's in there and try to help you with it. So again, that's all I can say about that. Common Core method, I don't know if there is a Common Core method. There's Common Core standards, and so we make sure kids understand them. Will attendance be counted if a student is not in school due to an abundance of caution for the class? Caution for the class, I guess I would say is, if you're worried about your child's class, contact your principal right away, okay? And let's have that conversation and figure out how we can help you. Yes, we have to attract attendance, and if they're not in school, they can't learn. So we want them to be there every day. And so if you have a concern, let us help you with that concern, for goodness sakes. Don't just keep them home. Bring them to school and have a conversation so we can help you through whatever it is you need so that we can help your child learn. That's what we want, okay? Will there be vaccine stations on campuses? Not on our campuses. I know that I have talked to Shasta Union High School District, and they have intentions of having vaccination sites near their campuses for their students if they want to have those. And so I asked them to give us those dates and those locations for our families if you so choose to do that. So, but we're not specifically going to have them on our campuses. Can you please talk about homeschool again? Okay, so we have College Prep Academy homeschool. It's independent study. It is the offer for independent study if you so choose to do that. And we have certificated teachers running that program. And it's a homeschool program, but it is independent study. It is required to now have daily instruction for our K-3 students. And so they'll have a schedule for that so that they have a period of time each day where they meet with their teacher of record. And then also have, for our 4-H students, they're required to have daily contact. So there'll be a schedule for daily contact. Our homeschool program, if you go to the website and look at it, it talks about, they have on-site, in-person enrichment programs. So they have tutors on site, they have enrichment opportunities. And so I encourage you to go to their website and learn more about it, or call them up and they'll have a conversation with you. I see that another one's coming. Will there be an in-person back-to-school night? Yes. So there will be back-to-school nights, and it's because of the masking requirement and the non-distancing, and because we don't have cohorting anymore, we can have parents on campus. I know that some parents may not feel comfortable with that, so I think that we will also ask our teachers to have a Zoom meeting go on that parents can join from home if they so choose. But yes, it's our intention to have in-person back-to-school night. These are great questions. Some of these I couldn't even predict it, so that's great. Thank you so much. Because it's just helping other people. I mean, that's the great thing, is like other people get to hear the answer and they're like, oh, okay. Because it might be a question they ask themselves next week, so thank you. Okay, well, looks as if we've maybe run out of questions. Again, I encourage you to stay in touch with your school. We want to help you help your child come to school and learn. Every one of the people sitting in this room want to figure out how to help you. They really do. We have programs, I think, that can serve your needs. I want to say out loud that if you have a student that has an IEP and you think you want to take them to the independent study homeschool, you need to contact your school and resource teacher. Because they have a resource program, independent study may not be the best choice for them, but that's a student, there's a process for determining that. So, so please do that before you contact College Prep. Again, thank you so much, and we live to serve you and our community. Again, the 8:10 drop-off is 20 minutes before school starts. We hope to go back to a normal drop-off time when we have the capacity to do that. Some of our issues right now is just staffing. We're having trouble fully staffing to be able to supervise kids. If they're on campus and we don't have supervision, it's just not safe. And so 20 minutes before, we have cafeteria and breakfast going on, and so kids can safely go into the cafeteria and eat breakfast, or 15 minutes before school starts, they can go into their classrooms because our teachers will be in their classroom at that time. So it's a safety issue. We need to understand that having 150 kids just mulling around a campus without adults watching them is probably not a safe situation. So we want to make sure that we have staffing available to supervise them. So that's why the 8:10 drop-off. Okay, thank you again. Thank you so much, and I hope to be on your campuses, and when you see me, you can still talk to me. I'm not that scary. So thank you very much, and good night.